Hello, everybody, and welcome to this GMAT Club session. My name is Sofia Matveeva. I have an MBA from Chicago Booth, and I have transitioned into a career in tech. So I'm a tech entrepreneur, and also I've worked with lots of different people and different MBAs who have gone through the career transition. So I've taught my courses at London Business School and the University of Texas, and I've advised Blackstone. You'll hear all about this. And today, we're going to be talking about how to make the most of your MBA if you want to transition into a career in tech. And also, we're going to go through some typical mistakes that I've seen people make. And I'm doing this because I have been you. I have been sitting where you're sitting. I remember doing the GMAT. It was pretty, I did not enjoy that journey, I tell you. And you know, an MBA is such a big investment, not just financially, but in terms of your sanity, the effort, you know, even just the application already takes so much time and so much effort that when you actually get to the MBA, you really, you need to have a plan for how to make the most of it. And there are smart people who assume once I get into business school, then, oh, the world will open up and everything's going to be amazing. And that's not quite true. So you need to have a plan. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so let me tell about one of my students. So this is Nasi. When we met at the time, he was a current student at London Business School. He's no longer a current student, he's now graduated, but this was about 3 or 4 years ago. He had a background in finance, like many MBAs, especially at London Business School. And he was, you know, really willing to learn, but what he needed to learn about technology in order to transition to tech, he was not getting in his business school. And this is quite typical, and I'll tell you why. But this kind of thing was also happening to me when I was at Chicago Booth. And the thing is, the tech sector is like this foreign land, or it can feel like a foreign land, because there's all this jargon and all these different jobs, and there's all this stuff that you don't know. But because you don't know what you don't know, you don't really know where to get started. And that was literally Nasi's position. So he met me when I was at a WeWork. I was at a WeWork in London giving a talk, and my talk was called "What Non-Technical Founders Really Need to Know About Tech," because I'm a non-technical founder and I was running my first tech company at the time. So Nasi came along, he listened to my talk, and he said, "This is amazing. Can you come and teach us at London Business School?" And so I did, and I've taught that, I think, three years in a row now, and you'll hear more about that. But let's get back to Nasi. So Nasi today, he has graduated, so he does have his MBA. He has founded his company, so he had an idea for a tech platform. He had no tech skills, basically no tech knowledge, and so he learned with me. He took my courses, and now he actually runs a technology platform called Umwoga, which is a social network for blue-collar workers, mainly in South Africa. And I know that some of you are going to be interested in the founder journey, but many of you are not. But the reason why I want to show you Nasi's journey is because now, I mean, obviously I want his company to succeed, but you know, he's still a young man. Even when his company succeeds, he will still want to do other things afterwards. And what I want you to see that at this point in his career, not only does he have the opportunity of entrepreneurship to pursue, but for some reason, if he decided not to pursue working on the company that he founded, he can also now become a venture capitalist. He can also work on strategy at a company like Facebook. He can also work on product management. So essentially, his transition into tech is now complete, and he can do whatever he likes with that. And this is what I want for you as well. So this session, as I was just saying to Nikhil from the GMAT Club, I was saying, this session is for people who are going to become MBA students. Also, it's going to be useful if you are currently doing your MBA and you're thinking, okay, there's so much going on. How do I do the right things? How do I make the most of my time? And also, it is for MBA alumni. So people who have, maybe people who are thinking into getting into angel investing, that's why we've got an angel here, who are MBA alumni who only now just realize that actually they would like to use their MBA to transition into a career in tech, but they kind of missed that chance. So today, my plan is to tell you the biggest mistake I've seen smart MBAs make when they want to transition into a career in a specific field, but especially the technology sector. I also want you to know by the end how to maximize your MBA investment. Because honestly, like I paid $180,000 for my Chicago booth MBA. And, you know, my students at LBS or University of Texas, like these people are paying a lot of money. And also you paid a lot of money for your, you know, for your MBA consultancy to even get in. You probably paid to learn how to do the GMAT. So like you're paying a lot. And I want to make sure that you get as much out of this as possible. And I am a very practical person. So today I'm going to give you tips on what you can actually do today to move towards that career, rather than, oh, you know, take this course and maybe in a year's time something good will happen to you. Like, no, this is not what we're going to do here. So, oh God, this was me. This is me when I first went to Chicago booth. So, you know, I hope this is an experience that many of you are going to have. So I don't know, some of you are going to know who this guy is. This man is Eugene Farmer. That name is going to be like a massive celebrity for some of you, but for some of you, you're going to be like, who is this? So Eugene Farmer won the Nobel Prize for economics for his efficient market theories. And so in the first week, when you start your MBA at Chicago booth, you basically you get introduced to the Nobel Prize winners. And, you know, being the nerd that I am, I took a photo. I had my selfie with him, put it on Instagram. And in the first week, you know, you're so excited. So I've just made some new friends. I met a Nobel Prize winner. I was like, my life is going to be amazing, because I worked so hard to actually get into the school that I kind of thought that, okay, well, now that I'm here and now I'm meeting Nobel Prize winners, I'm meeting all these smart, successful, interesting people. Now, my career is just going to be sorted. Like, I'm just going to be a successful businesswoman and it's going to be fine. And you know what? That was a mistake. So this is what I want you to avoid. So I got my MBA for $180,000. I also started working on a tech idea. And when I was working on my tech idea, so I got a team together of people who were working in the MBA with me. We went through the New Venture Challenge, which is the accelerator for startups at Chicago booth. So the business schools that you go to, all of them have this kind of thing now. So definitely check out what your school has. There's going to be something like this at Chicago booth. Grubhub and Braintree came out with the New Venture Challenge. But you know what then? By the time I got my MBA, I was being told, oh, you're a non-technical founder. So really to succeed in tech, you need to learn to code. And I was like, what the hell? I've got this MBA. I've done all the business plan competition stuff. And now I have to learn to code? Anyway, so I then went and tried to do that. So I took the Computer Science 101 course from Stanford, and I started taking product management courses on Coursera. And also at the same time, I was basically running a tech startup. And the reason why I want you to see this is that I was basically doing too much, and it's possible that ambitious, smart people like you, because I think, you know, if you're watching this, you and I cut from the same cloth. You know, you want to learn, you're desperate to make the transition into the tech sector, whether as a founder or not, but, you know, you want to have a career in this booming sector. And business schools don't really teach you. Basically, the only business school that I know, because I now consult several business schools, the only business school that I know that really helps non-techies transition into tech successfully is Stanford. So if you're going to Stanford, you probably don't need to listen to me. I mean, maybe you do, but if you're going to Stanford, you might be all right. But right now, I'm working with current students from Harvard. I'm working with a current student from Oxford, and I'm working with a bunch of Chicago booth alumni. And this is just to name just a few. So There are very good schools, very elite schools, which will take a very large amount of your money, and they will not have a program to help you transition into tech. And this is when you end up doing things like this. This is when you end up basically trying to create your own curriculum, which drives you crazy. And not all of this stuff is necessary. So what I want you to see is that you don't need to do all of this. And it doesn't need to be as painful as this in order for you to get your goals. So I went through it the painful way, and I want to basically save that experience for you. So basically, when I started running my first company, it's called NT, it's a fashion tech company. One of the things that started happening is that I started writing for Forbes. So Forbes asked me to start writing about my startup journey. So what was I learning about startups? What was I learning about essentially building a business? Like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I thought, well, I'm now in tech. I'm trying to succeed in tech, but I'm non-technical, and I don't quite know how to succeed in tech as a non-technical person. But since I'm writing for Forbes, I can now basically interview all of these successful investors. So, VCs often don't have technical backgrounds. And now I can interview successful product managers who don't have technical backgrounds. Basically, I can interview all these successful non-technical professionals who are killing it in tech. And basically, this is going to be like career consulting for me, but because I'll write it up for Forbes, all these smart, successful people will start talking to me. And that's basically what I started doing. So I created my own curriculum, and I kind of created my own advisory board of smart non-techies in tech, because I had the opportunity to write for Forbes. Now, I'm not saying get an MBA, start a company, then start writing for Forbes, and then you'll figure it out. Because, I'm here, now I can tell you what I've learned, but this is the way I had to do it. So what I learned is that, first of all, the Silicon Valley parlance that you might be used to is that the Silicon Valley parlance will tell you that you absolutely need to learn to code. Now, from a person who actually did take some coding courses, let me tell you that they didn't really help me much. Like one or two, like for a day or two, to just kind of understand some basic concepts might be useful. But doing an extra computer science degree on top of your MBA in order to transition into tech, you don't need to do that. But you do need to learn some stuff. So what you need to learn are concepts. So what is an API? What is a tech stack? How does a technology strategy translate to a business strategy? How do product goals relate to business goals? These are the kind of concepts you need to understand. But you don't need to actually build things with your bare hands yourself. So let me tell you, this is somebody who actually went to the University of Chicago. His name is David Segura. He founded a company as a non-technical founder. So he began his career in management consulting. When he was in management consulting, he saw a gap in the market for an advertising technology. He then created that company, and he basically hired tech talent as a non-technical founder. He then sold his company for millions to a private equity-owned business, and now he's one of New York's top angel investors. And he came to Tech for Non-Techies, and I also interviewed him for Forbes. And what he says is that as non-technical professionals, which most of you are, you should become fluent and knowledgeable of software trends and best practices. Learn how to manage a technical endeavor from both a project and a product standpoint. But you will not get credit or a moral victory for becoming an average coder in a world that only values excellence. So what you need to do is recruit and inspire technical talent to work alongside you and get over your insecurities as soon as you possibly can. So when you are at business school and there are courses that essentially don't appeal to you and you don't find that interesting, but you think, well, if I learn to code, then the tech world will open up to me. If you're not going to be that good at them, then maybe take one, but definitely don't do all of them. So for example, I took a course called The Foundations of, it's basically kind of a stats course. I forgot exactly the name, it will come to me. But essentially, it was a statistics course that was also helping you to understand how digital marketers measure their basically data-driven marketing strategy. That course was basically for half a credit. really useful. It was painful. It was kind of boring. It definitely taught me that this is not what I want to do, but half a credit, definitely useful. But don't think that in order for you to transition into tech, you need to take all of the coding courses that maybe your school is offering. You don't need to. So once I started learning that actually what I needed to know were the concept rather than skills, I ended up having basically more free time, right? Because instead of doing courses that weren't getting me anywhere, I ended up having the time to actually set the vision, be the visionary, raise money, and talk to the press. And that's when our app ended up having 5-star reviews, which it didn't before. That's when CNBC and Evening Standard started talking about us, and that's when basically that helped me raise $1 million. So now this was quite a long time ago. I'm in the process of exiting that company, which, that's another story. I've been teaching my course which is called Intro to Tech for Non-Technical Founders at London Business School. As I said, I'm also advising various different business schools about how to help people like you transition into tech, because business schools in general help you get jobs in management consulting and in investment banking. Business schools are only just now, apart from Stanford, catching up with the whole tech boom in general. So this is why you need to take matters into your own hands. And I've also advised various different accelerators and corporates, including Techstars and Blackstone. Okay, so, but more interestingly, what I wanted you to know is that once I understood that actually I didn't have to spend all of my time trying to basically learn how to build product myself, I then started being the person who was setting the vision and being the visionary, and essentially being on the stage, like here I am at a conference, basically very, very high profile retail technology conference, where it was me, on this stage there were 3 speakers. There was me, there was the investor that invested in Peloton, and then there was a deep tech founder. And we were basically talking about the trends in the industry. And so you can have a successful career in tech. You can be a visionary in it. You need to learn some concept, but you also need to be very strategic about how you use your time. Because if all you're doing is trying to take coding courses and trying to get A's in your MBA, this will not happen. And I learned this the hard way, because this took me quite a while to get to. So I'm assuming you're just like me, because you're here, right? Like, you're here because you're doing the GMAT, which I tell you was not fun. You're going to business school because you want to have a good career. You don't have a technical background because this is about transitioning to tech. And tech feels like this foreign land that you're just like, it's like this party that you're just not invited to. And this is definitely how I felt. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to be this way. So I was telling you, I've definitely learned things the hard way. So I actually estimated how much money I invested to transition career. And my estimate is about $300,000. So that's about $180 for the MBA, plus all the investment that you make to get into the friggin' MBA in the first place, like the GMAT and the consulting and all of that. And then all of the coding and product management courses that I took afterwards, and conference tickets and all of this. So this was the hard way. And I just want to say, people, who wants things the easy way? I'm assuming you want things the easy way, because it can be better and cheaper, right? Okay, so what I want you to know is that, okay, you're going to business school, you are going to invest a lot of money. I mean, right now you're probably investing about 200 grand, okay? So you're investing that 200 grand. I don't want you to lump on the extra 100,000, which I did, because 200 grand is enough. So what I want to help you do is you're making this investment, and personally, for me, business school changed my life. But you're making this investment, and I want you to maximize your ROI on that investment, because we're business school people. That's how we think. Okay, so the biggest mistake, number one, the biggest mistake that MBAs make when they get to business school and they want to transition to tech is over-reliance on the MBA curriculum. Most MBA curriculums right now just do not have the courses that you need to transition into tech. So I want to tell you a story about somebody. I'm not going to give you his name because, well, you'll see why he wouldn't like it. So I'm going to tell you that I have a classmate who is a talented person, and we were in the same year, and he was diligent. Like, he did all of the homeworks, he actually got good grades, and he went to all of the classes. And we met up, pre-pandemic. We now live in different countries, but we met up a couple of years ago, and he basically told me that he regrets getting his MBA. He currently works in finance in a job that he could have got without the MBA through contacts that he had pre-MBA. And he's still paying off his business school fees, and he really, really resents it. And he's angry. And you know what? It is entirely avoidable. It is entirely avoidable. And I just want you to know that this is going to, like this story that I've told you, it is going to happen to some people in your class, because this is not the only time I've seen this. This does happen. I don't want it to be you. So this is what I want to share with you. I want you to avoid this. So what I want you to know is that your MBA is not a magic wand. It is not like you get this thing, you get into Harvard, and then all of a sudden everything just opens up to you and your life is perfect forever. What I would say is that MBA is not a magic wand. It is one of the tools in your toolbox, but you need other tools. Also, in MBA, I would say it's not just, there are some tools that are going to be like a screwdriver. Your MBA is like a power tool. So it's a very, very powerful tool, but it is one tool. It is not everything. You still need to do other things. You need to work on your network. You need to work on your personal brand. You need to actually get some practical experience. You need a plan. You need a strategy. So it's a power tool, but like with power tools, you need to learn how to use it. You need a strategy. So first of all, if you're just thinking about how to, if you're about to start your MBA, or you are thinking about how to use your MBA when you actually do get in, you do need to have a plan. You need to have a plan. What do I want to get out of it? Do I want to get into tech? Do I know what I want to do in tech? It's perfectly okay if you don't. Most people don't, because it's still such a new field. Okay, if I have a plan, how long is my MBA? If your MBA is 2 years, you've got 2 years to put that plan to action. If you're doing one of the shorter MBAs, so like INSEAD, if you're doing it for 1 year, you really need to have a plan and get it together and get going now. Also, once you start the program, you're going to be overwhelmed. You will have new friends, you'll have new experiences, you'll be going out and getting drunk, you'll be having all of this fun, and there'll be all of these courses, and you'll want to do everything, and you'll sign up to everything. And it's going to be fun, but also at some point it's going to stop being fun, and you'll just feel like, oh my God, I just don't have enough time. And you won't have enough time. So you need to be strategic. You cannot do all the things. You need to know where you're going. You need to have a plan, and you need to be okay about letting some things go and just knowing that, okay, yes, there is a Nobel Prize winner giving a talk, but if that Nobel Prize winner is giving a talk about economics and you need to go and have an interview with some venture capitalists, the venture capitalists are going to win. So, in the words of Steve Jobs, deciding what not to do is as important as what to do. Look at Apple's super clean designs. Apple is mostly about deciding what not to do as opposed to what to do. So, the first thing I need you to do is make a plan. In that plan, you need to learn the basics of tech, learn the language of tech, learn some key terminology. After you learn the key terminology, you don't just learn, you also need to put that terminology into practice. I know people like the friend that I've just told you about. He learned all of this stuff, but he did number 1, but he didn't do number 2 and 3. And if you only do number 1, you're going to be like him, you're going to be pissed off, you're going to be frustrated, and you're going to be resentful. So you need to learn the things, you need to get practical experience, and you need to be very, very specific about your network, and you need to make a huge effort to build your network. So here's a person I spoke to, again, for one of the Forbes articles, and also a guest speaker at Tech for Non-Techies, the company that I now run. The second company, I should say, the second company I now run. So this is Bruce. Bruce was the VP of Twitter for EMEA, and he was also the CEO of YouTube for the UK. So, pretty successful tech guy. He doesn't have a technical background. And I asked him, what do you think about MBAs? And here I'm paraphrasing, but essentially, I remember he literally said the words, MBAs think that they're going to come around here, the MBAs think that they're going to run things around here. And essentially he was saying, well, what use is that to me? Because I've got developers and they're building the tech. And then I've got people who are helping me sell advertising, because that's what Twitter and YouTube both do, right? And MBAs who don't have experience in either. They basically feel entitled, but they're pretty useless. Now, obviously, I'm not of the same view, but the reason why I'm telling you this is that this view exists in companies that some of you want to work in. And I would rather that you heard this from me now as you're learning about your MBA, as you're making a plan, because it's better that you come across this view now and you mitigate it, because forewarned is forearmed, rather than you get to, the end of year 2 and you come up against Bruce and you're like, oh, but I spent all of this money, what the hell? So don't just over-rely on the MBA curriculum. You need to learn key tech terms, but also after you've learned the key tech terms, you need to actually put them into practice. So don't just learn things and do strategy. Put what you've learned to practice. So here's another one of my students. I feel like a proud mom telling you about them. I'm so proud of them. So this is Jason, who also went to London Business School. And so Nasi, the first person I told you about, Jason was in the year after Nasi. So also London Business School MBA. Before his MBA, he worked at EY, and he wanted to transition into tech. And he didn't quite know what he wanted to do. He didn't know if he wanted to be a founder, or if he wanted to get a job in product management, or if he wanted a job in venture capital. Like, he didn't really know what the opportunities were, and also how likely it was he would get the opportunities and what he needed to do. Like, I think you'll probably feel similar to this. Like, you want to get into tech, but you don't really know what that means in practice or what to do about it. And this was Jason. And honestly, that was me as well. So today, Jason has an MBA from London Business School. He's a venture capitalist at a biotech fund, which I think is really, really interesting. And what he did when he was at LBS, well, obviously he took my course, he learned with me, but also he ran the Tech and Media Club at London Business School, which is what Nasi was doing. So basically, Nasi, the first guy I told you about, he was Jason's predecessor. So when you get to business school, find the Tech and Media Club and get involved, because that helps. That will help you build your network. But also what's so important is that when he was doing the club, he also volunteered at a startup. And this is what I need you to understand, is that if he had just ran the Tech and Media Club, he would have just been another person, like another MBA, okay, doing a networking thing. Like, that's useful. I'm not saying that's not useful, but it's the combination of this. It's the combination of building the network, taking the courses with me, and also putting that to practice and building his network means that now he's a venture capitalist at a biotech fund. So if this is what you want to do, you can transition from, doing tax at EY to doing something really, really cool. But as you can see, he really made an effort. He didn't just rock up to LBS and go like, okay, I'm here now, the world owes me something. No, both him and Nasi actually really made a big effort to basically learn with me, to put their knowledge into practice, and to build their networks. Okay, so do you want to be my next case study? I'm assuming, for some of you at least, the answer is going to be yes, because I think what these guys are doing is so interesting. One is a successful founder, another one is a successful VC. Like, come on, this is great. So one of the things you need to do is, we talked about you need to learn And your business school is probably not going to teach you what you need to know, because most business schools are not yet teaching my course. Some are. So if you're LBS, I'll probably see you there. But not a lot of them. Not a lot of them are, because also there was only 1 week to go around. Chicago Booth certainly wasn't teaching it, so I do things for Chicago Booth alumni sometimes. But anyway, you don't over rely on the curriculum. That's thing one. Thing two, even when you've learned the concept, like the tech stack, what do developers do, what is an API, what is a UX designer, after you learn all of that stuff, you need to make a thing. So what can you do? You can either run your own startup, so you can either get involved in a startup yourself, so basically have a startup idea or work with somebody else on their startup idea, go through the accelerator. Your business school will inevitably have some sort of startup accelerator, and go through that journey. Doesn't matter if you then actually want to become the founder and do that full time like Nasi, or you want to use that experience in the way that Jason did, and then use that experience to get a job in venture capital, get a job in product management or whatever. But basically get involved. So you can either get involved by actually creating your own startup. You can also work with other people's startups. All of your business schools are going to have some kind of angel network. That's also a really interesting way for you to understand the investing side and the tech operation side. And the reason why here I'm talking about startups is because it's much easier for you to learn to it's much easier for you to volunteer with a startup than it is to volunteer with Facebook, right? Like Facebook doesn't need volunteers. But if your aim is to get a job in product management on Facebook, like literally, I know one of the hiring managers, a product manager at Facebook, who's a Chicago Booth MBA. And he literally says that he has turned down people who were McKinsey consultants and have MBAs because they have never actually created a product. He is much more interested in hiring somebody who has actually worked on creating something and has got it out there and has had some users using it, rather than somebody who went to McKinsey and has the Harvard MBA. So make a thing. Get involved with making a thing. And it is much easier to get involved with startups to make a thing, or get involved with angel investors to make a thing, than to volunteer for, I don't know, Twitter. Twitter don't need you to volunteer for them. Another thing you could do is you could literally make something yourself, make a no-code app using something like Bubble and get some user traction. And this isn't about you making a no-code app and then becoming a billionaire with it. This is about you being basically interesting in your resume. So when you submit your resume for a product management job at Facebook, they actually know that you haven't just learned some words about product management, you have actually implemented them in practice. So get involved, make a thing. Another thing that people get wrong, which is what I think my friend got wrong, the one who, is resenting paying off his fees, is not building the right network. Now, we all know that getting your MBA is about networking. Networking is important. But it's about the right network. In your schools, you're all going to have a lot of people that you can meet. You have people in your year, you have alumni, you have people who want to network with you, and you've only got 24 hours in the day, and in some of those hours you need to sleep. So you can't talk to everybody. So you need to be very strategic about who you speak to and why. So I'm going to show you somebody who did this really well. Some of you might know this guy. So if you do, just listen to the example. So basically, Harry Stebbings, he's not an MBA. But this is a very useful example, which is great, and actually something that I've done myself, and it works. So Harry was a student at university. So literally, he was a college student. He wanted to get into a career in venture capital. But if you're a college student and you want to get into a career in venture capital, that's going to be pretty hard. I mean, getting into VC, as we even saw from Jason's example, after you've actually worked at EY, you understand finance, and you get a London Business School MBA, that's still not enough. You still need to do other things. So Harry created a podcast called The 20-Minute VC. In that podcast, he literally just started interviewing venture capitalists about what they do. You can listen to the podcast. It is literally 20 minutes of VC interviews. Today, he is a partner at a VC fund. I think he's like 24 or something. His network is unbelievable, and his network is amongst the top venture capitalists in the world. So if he knew he wanted to be a VC, he knew he needed to build this network. He created a podcast, he interviewed venture capitalists. That allowed him to essentially become a venture capitalist. He used the network to get that job. And also on top of that, he runs a very successful business. But what I want you to see in this example is that he was very specific about who he was networking with. So when you listen to his podcast, you will see it's either venture capitalists, or when there are founders on there, the founders have all got venture capitalist funding. So he was very, very specific. He's not just going around and saying, oh, these people are smart, I'll speak to these people, and then I'll speak to these people. And, it'll all just be kind of this cloud of just smart people. No, he was specific. So if you want to transition into a career in tech, focus on that. And, otherwise you will just be all over the place, and it will end up taking you longer, and it will end up costing you more. Okay, so here is some research that I saw from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn regularly does research on the jobs market, obviously, because they know a thing or two about it. What they found is that people are more likely to be referred for jobs by their second and third degree connections. So it's basically the people of the people you know. And also, connections matter most in technology-related industries. Now, this is not me saying this to you. This is LinkedIn. So literally, what I'm teaching you here right now has been proven across the entire LinkedIn population. So build your network specifically amongst people who have good networks in technology and people who are successful in the technology field. So when you are ready to transition, when you're ready to graduate, you can say to those people, I'm now ready to graduate. I have also learned all of this stuff, and I've got the skills I've got the evidence to prove that I've learned this stuff because I have made a thing. So I have helped a VC fund to launch, or I have helped a startup to launch a product, or I have made my own no-code app and I got some users on it. And then you tell those people, and then you say, do you know anybody who might be interested in interviewing me for a job as an associate at a VC fund? And that's when your second and third degree connections come in. So in practice, make meeting relevant people a part of your plan. Create events or create content the way Harry did, and have milestones for your network. So don't just say, I want to build my network amongst relevant people. Like, that's not a goal. If you're working for me and you said this to me, I would not like it. What you need to do is break it down. What does relevant people mean to you? If right now you're exploring venture capital, start speaking to venture capitalists. How many venture capitalists per week are you going to speak to during your MBA classes? Maybe it's one a week, but that's fine. Maybe you'll contact one relevant business school alumnus who works in the job that you want to do. Maybe you'll just write to them on LinkedIn once per week. Fine, but just have a plan, make it specific, and have milestones for what you want to achieve. Now, if you don't, I do want to emphasize this point. I want to emphasize the point of my friend whom I love dearly, and I'm really, really sad for him because this is what he feels. He feels that he wasted money, and he feels that he wasted time, and he feels like he was lied to by the business school. I don't agree with him. I think the opportunities were all there, but I think he just expected that if he rocks up to one of the top business schools, then opportunities will be given to him. But as I'm showing you, you need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy, and you need to have somebody who's guiding you to make sure that this does not happen to you. So this is another person that I've worked with. So this is Ali, a fellow Chicago Booth alumnus, who's an angel investor. And so he says that my insights for him are useful and time-saving, helping to filter the relevant aspect. And so this is what I want you to see, that having a guide through your MBA isn't a good guide. Whether you end up working with me or not, whether you end up joining Tech-Fluent Techies or not, it doesn't, that's beside the point. What you need is a plan, and you need a guide who is going to tell you where to stop and where something is not relevant for you. Okay? Because what I want you to understand is that you are an investor. You are an investor of your time. You are an investor of your energy. The fact that you are sitting here with me right now means that you are investing your time to transition into a career in tech. You're investing your time, your money, and your energy, your blood, sweat, and probably tears into your MBA. So, like Ali here, you are also an investor. So think like an investor. Maximize the return on investment on your MBA. Okay, so my question to you, my dears, is, does the world feel more open to you now? Like, do you feel like, okay, I'm going to go to business school and now I know what I need to do. I know also that all sorts of different new opportunities open to me. I hope so. That's definitely what I want you to feel. So I hope you don't mind, but I would like to ask you a question. Let me see if I can get the answers. But essentially, I'm on to my second tech company now. I have taught at various business schools. You've heard about some of my students. And obviously, I can't teach you everything that I know in 45 minutes because it basically kind of looks like the suitcase. So is it all right if I tell you how we could work together so I could help you get the most out of your MBA if you want to transition into career in tech? Nikhil, I know that you're managing the comments. Is that all right is it okay if I tell people how we could work together? Okay, well, thanks, guys. Thank you, Nikhil. Okay, so this is what we could do. So basically, at Tech and Techies, I run various different courses, but the one that is going to be most relevant to you, most important to you, is a 3-week course. So it's short and sharp and sweet about how to transition into a career in tech. So what we'll do in those 3 weeks is week 1 is we will learn some core concepts. So how do apps, sites, and algorithms get made? So all of those concepts that I talked to you about, like UX, tech stack, all of that stuff, we will run through them. It's not going to be a massive, huge deep dive because it's a week, but you will learn enough to essentially have enough knowledge and confidence to decide what to do next. Then, once you have the core concepts down, you will start being able to see where you're drawn to. And then that's when we will go through the different job opportunities that are available and that are for people who are non-technical professionals who are getting MBAs. So for example, product managers. What do product managers do and how do you become one? Because remember, it's not just about learning the concepts, you need to do some stuff too. Maybe you realize that actually you're really into UX, so that's user experience. So we'll run through some user-facing roles that you could be doing, which maybe is what interests you instead. And also we'll look into things like what Jason is doing. So strategy roles, finance roles, venture capital roles. How do you get into those positions? How do you transition into the finance side of the tech industry? So what are your options and how do you go to achieve them? And after you've learned the core concept, and after you basically learned what your opportunities are, you then need to take action. And so this is why it's a short and sweet thing to just prepare you to get the most out of business school. So we'll work out how to build a useful network and put in those milestones. We will talk about which classes and courses are most relevant and useful for you to take. And we'll also make a plan for your MBA. So what can you do today? What can you do today, literally today? What should you be doing in 3 months? What should you be doing in 6 months? How does that differ if you're doing a 2-year program or a 1-year program? If you've got a 2-year program, you have the benefits of the internship in the middle. If you don't, you can still make the transition into tech, but we need to be cognizant. We need to have a plan. So I just want you to imagine, I would love you to be one of my next case studies. I'd love to talk to you about Nasi and Jason and Ali and you. So imagine if you had a clear plan for how to make the most out of your huge MBA investment. Like, how would you feel? I think you probably feel much better about paying those MBA fees. So what you're going to get the 3-week course, which is valued at about $500. But also, I want to show you something else. So I'm assuming it hasn't been easy to meet. Has it been easy to meet the right people to help you? I'm assuming the answer is no. So basically what we'll have is also for a whole month, you'll be able to join the weekly classes and Q&A sessions with people like David, who I told you is a successful non-technical founder who sold his company to a private equity-owned business. So we have classes every single Tuesday with people like that, and you can get feedback from them about how to make the transition. And also, they are the right people for you to build your network because they are smart, successful non-techies killing it in tech. And so, for example, this is one of our members. He runs an e-commerce company now, and he went to Oxford University, and literally, he's one of our members. And I would love you to meet people like Jack, who basically says that there's nowhere else like Tech for Non-Techies. So you're going to get 4 weeks of master classes valued at $700. You are, oh, Nasi again. So Nasi participated in Tech for Non-Techies, and he says that at London Business School, they had a 6-month program dedicated to helping students transition into tech. And that's how we met. That's when he found me at WeWork. And Tech for Non-Techies was one of the most valuable workshops we ran through the program. So another thing I just need to be really practical about is that, frankly, are you going to, like, if you take this course right now, and you learn with me and you start your MBA, just be honest, are you going to remember what you've learned in a year? Like, you're not. Let's just be real about this, you're not. So this is why I'm going to give you lifetime access to the course, because I have been where you are. I've been with information overload, and like first you think you want to do one thing, then you want to do another thing, then you get an internship, and that also changes your mind. So this is why I want you to have lifetime access to this course, so you'll be able to keep on coming back to it and essentially learning. So what will be worth it? What would it be worth to you to break into tech, widen your network, know how to widen your network to the right people, and make the most, excuse me, out of your investment into your GMAT and into your MBA? Because I don't want you to end up like my friend there. So, you know, now we're thinking about what are the costs and what are investments, and like, honestly, you're making a huge investment into yourself already. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you get the most out of that investment. So my question to you is, what is the cost of missing out on this? I mean, I think I've shown you what the cost of missing out is, basically a lifetime of regret and thinking that your $200,000 investment is down the drain. So essentially you have two choices. Okay, you have two choices. And one of your choices is that you're fine, you'll just go and you'll just take your chances, which might work out for you. Or you could essentially sign up to my program. Nikhil, would you mind just posting that link in the chat box so everybody could click on it right now, because that link is actually not on the Tech for Non-Techies official website. When you get there, you're not going to be able to see it, because I made a special offer for the GMAT club, and the special offer is, basically, I don't want other people to find it unless they're watching this. That's why if you just go to techfornontechies.co, you won't see it. So basically, my guarantee is if you sign up today and you do the work for the first 7 days, so that's the first third of our course, if you're not getting what you need, if you're not getting some useful stuff, I will refund your investment. So it's basically risk-free. So because I do want you to feel like it's a risk. Like, in my view, it's way more risky if you don't do this stuff than if you do. So the real question is it worth trying how to transition into a career in tech, trying the course, which even if it does, 10% of what I said will pay for itself. It will more than pay for itself, because it will help you avoid costly mistake and break into tech. So what you're going to get, my dears, is you are going to get the 3-week course that I mentioned. And you're going to have lifetime access. You're going to have 4 weeks of masterclasses with experts that you'll actually get feedback from and be able to widen your network to other people. So that's on top of that. You're also going to get my reading list and my podcast list, which basically means that you will still be able to carry on learning. And this stuff basically really works. And what I want you to do is that I've been in the situation where you are, which is why I made this offer, which is basically way, way lower than anything else that you'll see on the Tech for Non-Techies website. But the reason is I've been in your situation, and I am you. I know how hard it is, and I take my hat off to you. I remember doing the GMAT, like it was tough. So I want to make this as easy as possible for you. So not only have we got this ridiculous price, which is not even an investment, it's basically like what the cost of a dinner in New York City. But what I want to offer you is that for everybody who enrolls during this session, so if you enroll in the course literally right now, while me and Nikhil are still talking to you, then you and I will have a one-to-one Kickstart coaching session. So literally we'll have a Kickstart coaching session before you start the course. So I'll be able to help you and give you some guidance exactly on your unique situation. And then I'll be able to help you to work out, okay, which classes should you be taking, which podcasts are most relevant to you, which concepts are most relevant to you. Also get to know each other, which is what I'd love. So basically, listen, if you literally just go to this link right now and you click on the GMAT club price, then you'll be able to get this offer, and we will have a coaching session. And a coaching session with me, half an hour coaching session, which is what we get, is basically $300. So you're getting huge value. And just for the GMAT club, I'm also going to give you checklists for what to do at the start, the midpoint, and the end of your MBA to make sure that you stay on track. Because the thing is, your MBA is going to be a fantastic experience, but I don't want you to be like my friend who has this fantastic experience and is enjoying all of the things, but because he doesn't have a strategy, because he doesn't have a plan, he ends up being exactly where he was before, but just now with an MBA and a lot of debt and a lot of regret. Okay, so if you literally sign up now, we will have our coaching session and we can get started. The course starts the week after next. So we can have our coaching sessions next week, starting from Monday, and we will get to know each other. All right, so this is, I now want to answer your questions and, hopefully meet you for our coaching sessions next week. So Nikhil, tell me, do we have questions? Okay, I can see. All right. Okay, interesting. This is a really good question. So asks, I'm an engineering manager at a unicorn startup. So first of all, well done. I've been an engineering manager for more than a year now. Do you think an MBA would help my career? My long-term goal is technology leadership. So you know what I'm going to say to you is that an MBA is not one of those things that once you do it, like you will know things that you couldn't get anywhere else. It's not like learning surgery. To be a surgeon, you have to go to medical school. I don't want a self-taught surgeon operating on me. Business school is not like that. A lot of the concepts that you learn at business school, you can essentially have a DIY type situation. So it's not an absolute must do. But the reason why I think a business school is a good idea, why it was useful for me, is that when you're in this experience, you're actually already with peers, and so you've already made the commitment to transition. So if you've already made the commitment, you're much more likely to do it. Whereas if you're like, well, I want to do technology leadership, but I also maybe I'll take this course, maybe I won't take this course, everything just becomes fuzzy. So this is the good thing about MBAs is you go there, you do the thing, you make a plan, and then it's over, basically. Otherwise, you could just end up kind of fluffing around for a little while. Another thing is that what's useful, what has genuinely helped me with MBAs is that I've seen different perspectives from different smart people who are solving problems in a different way to how I would. So that's really, really interesting because, for example, if you end up becoming, say, a CTO or a CIO, then what will end up happening is that you will have to work with the C-suite, right? So actually, let me give you an example. I have a friend got a friend who is basically like you, Jimmy. He was an engineering manager, and then he got his MBA from Chicago Beast. There's one of my classmates. so alumnus rather, and now he is the chief information officer for a big global bank. So not bad, right? So when you are he's the chief innovation officer for a large global bank. So really, really successful guy. So he is definitely a techie, and he's got this MBA. But the thing is, when you're at that level, which is what you want to get to, when you're at that level, you have to be able to talk to the CEO and explain how technology strategy is going to help the CEO work on business strategy. You're going to have to talk to the chief marketing officer. You're going to have to talk to the CFO, because the CFO is essentially going to talk to you about, like, okay, technology leader, okay, Chimney, you want to do this thing, but how much is it going to cost? And okay, but why do we really need this? Is there a cheaper way of doing it? So if you want to be in the C-suite, you need to know how the C-suite think. And the C-suite don't think about technology, they think about business problems. So if you, like, an MBA will help you translate technology to business problems. So what I want you to know, Jimmy, is that I personally think an MBA is going to help you, because an MBA has helped me, and an MBA, like, I have seen MBAs help my students so much. But if you just rock up and you just do all of the classes, and even if you're a straight A student, but you are not making a plan, you're not making a career plan, you're not networking correctly, you're not working to build something, then your MBA might be a waste of money and you might end up regretting it. So I hope that helps. Okay, that's a really good question. Thank you, Moni. Moni asks, what is the best approach to networking? What messaging would you use to make it appealing and worth their time to respond? Basically, there are two ways of doing it. In general, what really works is if you are interviewing people for a thing that you are making. So this is why I said create some kind of content or make a thing. So let's look at what Harry Stebbings did. Harry Stebbings wrote to successful venture capitalists, and he said, I'm doing a podcast, can you please be on it? I mean, obviously in slightly more elaborate terms, but essentially, if you just write to people, can I pick your brain? Like, I get messages, even from incoming people, incoming students to various business schools. Like, I get messages from people saying, can I pick your brain? I get those messages all the time. And the thing is, guys, I would love to help, but I run a business and I have to pay my bills. So yes, you can come and pick my brain if you buy a coaching session. My coaching sessions are $500 an hour. So if you pay me $500 an hour, you can pick my brain. If not, then it's not going to work. So if you just, in general, people are going to be less interested in responding. If you don't have a relationship with them already, people who I have a relationship with, I do help them, I do respond to them, like Nasi and Jason, I'm still in touch with them. I'm delighted by their success. So if we already have a relationship, yes, I will help you. But if we don't have a relationship, you need to give me something that I want. So it could be you buy a consulting session. That's a very crude way of doing it. But another thing that you could do is, well, what does that person want? Most people, a lot of people like giving interviews. A lot of people like being seen as thought leaders. So what you need to do is basically you could either create events. So imagine you start going to business school and you join the Tech and Media Club and you become the events officer. You then start organizing events every month where you have different alumni coming to speak about different aspects of tech. This is a brilliant way to network. I've done this, and basically if you are inviting people who are alumni of your business school or alumni of another business school, basically people you want to reach to, and you say, come and speak to us about how smart and successful you are so we can learn to be as smart and successful as you. And then on top of that, we will also write it in the MBA blog and we'll give you, so like you have a speaking opportunity, you're seen as an expert, and also there will be an article or maybe a YouTube video of how brilliant you are and how smart you are online. The likelihood of people like that to say yes is pretty huge. So if I started writing for Forbes. Yes, Forbes is a really big brand name. So I used Forbes to widen my network. If you don't have Forbes, fine. Doesn't matter. Use your business school. Whilst you're at business school, you can still say, my insert business school name, whatever it is. I don't know, Wharton is holding a breakfast on technology and you are an expert on product management. We would love to have you come and join us. Most people that you reach out to, they're going to get back to you. So events and content, that's the way to do it. Hope that helps. Any more? Okay. Oh, you're so cute, Annie. Okay. Annie said, I would love to enroll, but I won't be able to enroll on the 19th because I'm taking my GRE exam in 2 weeks. Okay. Yes, I feel you. Sorry, just all those tests, they kind of like make me die inside a bit. So, you know what, Annie, what we'll do is that, right, basically what I would suggest is sign up to this right now, and I will just give you access to the course for 2 months as opposed to the 1 month, because the course is going to be lifetime access anyway, and the actual course, the course content is actually pre-recorded. So every Monday, you will get a bunch of videos and a bunch of checklists and homeworks to do that you'll basically get it every Monday. You'll basically just get that content given out to you for 3 weeks every single Monday. That content is then going to be available to you basically for the rest of your life. In your case, Annie, what I would suggest is literally just start taking that course after you're done and recovered with the GRE. So I'd say only focus on the GRE right now, because that's some tough stuff. I respect that. Then take a week off to just recover and do something nice for yourself, and then start doing this course. And what I'll do is we will have if you enroll literally right now, we will plan our kickoff coaching session to be in 3 weeks time or 4 weeks time when you're ready. Because I don't know when I'm going to do enrollment for this again, because I'm only doing this for the GMAT club, because this is quite GMAT and business school specific. So you literally have nothing to lose if you just enroll now, and we just push your start date a bit later. And good luck with the GRE. Respect that. Okay. What's your opinion for non-tech entrepreneurs? How would tech and non-techies help non-tech entrepreneurs? So, Ram, basically the signature course, which I haven't mentioned here because we're not running, well, I am running it right now, but it's closed for enrollment. The signature course for tech for non-techies and how tech for non-techies started is called Introduction to Tech for Non-Technical Founders. In that course right now, I have somebody who is doing their MBA at Harvard Business School. I've got another person who's also currently doing their MBA at Oxford Said Business School, and I've got a couple of Chicago Booth alumni in the course right now. So in that course, we literally talk about what you can do as a non-technical founder, what are the concepts you need to learn as a non-technical founder to build a tech business and succeed in tech, and how to make the right hires, how to speak to investors, where are your risks? Do you really need a technical co-founder? And also we go through examples of people who are non-technical founders. So basically, this is the course that Nancy took. Yes, this stuff works. People have used that course to raise money. People have used that course to build businesses. So now I'm whetting your appetite, and I'm telling you, and that course is not available for enrollment until September. So hold your horses. What you can do, Ram, if you want to do that, my suggestion to you would be to sign up for this one, because you will learn some stuff. Also, once you sign up for this one, you start becoming eligible for Tech for Non-Techies member discounts. The current course for tech for non-technical founders is basically priced at $3,000. So if you go on the website and you wait to enroll until September, you will be able to, basically you'll have to wait until September and you'll have to pay $3,000. If you become a Tech for Non-Techies member, you will essentially be able to get the course for much, much less. You'll be able to save at least $1,000 on the course. So Or you might feel like this course is enough for you after $149. So my opinion is, if this is what you want to do, enroll into this one, which is basically almost free as far as I'm concerned, given what you're, given your investment. It's much better do this, start learning some stuff. If you then want to transition into the non-technical founders course, you'll get a significant discount, but also you'll be pretty much well ahead of the game by the time we start the course. Okay, so any more questions? Hey, Moni, is this content most relevant for pre-MBA or current MBA students? Well, you know what? I think it's both. I actually think it's also useful for alumni. There will be some stuff that's useful for people who are doing their MBA at the time, like for example, content on what kind of courses are going to be super useful to you, but also like a lot of business schools, once you become an alumnus, they will actually make their course catalog available to you, so you'll still be able to add on some learning at your business schools. So you'll still, like, the question of what course to take is still relevant even when you're an alumnus. The main thing here is about how to use your MBA to get into tech. Because remember what Bruce Daisley said. Bruce Daisley is the guy that I told you who was the VP of EMEA for Twitter, who is the CEO for YouTube in the UK. He was literally like, MBAs are a bit useless. Why do I need them? So what I want you to know is that you need to have a plan for how to use your MBA, whether you're going to have an MBA or you already have an MBA. You need to know that there are very, very senior people in tech who think an MBA is a bit of a waste of time. I'm not one of those people, but they exist. So you need to be able to answer what they have to say. So one of you saying, I won't be enrolling until 23, 24. Is there a way I can stay connected and take advantage of these deals then? You know what? I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I only came up with the GMAT offer literally this week because I was thinking, well, Nick Hill very kindly invited me to speak to the GMAT club. And originally I wasn't going to make this offer because I basically just hadn't thought of it, to be honest, because I already work with business schools, so like I'm kind of fine on that front. But then I thought, if I'm going to be talking to you and I'm going to be teaching you all of this stuff, I know what will happen, that some of you are going to start reaching out to me and you're going to start saying, can I pick your brain? And can I learn from you? And I'm going to have to say, like, yes, if you pay me $500 per hour, or if you go to London Business School and you take one of my courses. Like, those are pretty prohibitive. And I understand that if you're working and doing your GMAT, that might be a bit prohibitive. But I know this is what happens when I go in forums like this, people reach out to me. So I wanted to create something that was very easily accessible to you. And I don't know when I'm going to do it again, because for me, honestly, this is either at cost or loss making, basically, this offer. But I have been where you are, and I really want to help. Basically, I want to help like the former me. I want to help people who I know what you're going through, and I want to be as helpful as possible. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing this again, because I literally just thought of it now, and I don't think I'll be able to do it basically at like the cost of a dinner in New York City. So my suggestion for you is, money, enroll now, take action now. Worst case scenario is you'll have lifetime access to the course. Start using it now, start thinking about it now. We will have a coaching session, and maybe and then I can give you some ideas what you can do now pre-MBA, because also pre-MBA, you can do a bunch of stuff to build your network. So for example, there's quite a lot you can do on the events and content making front, that when you get to the MBA, you know exactly what you want. You already know who to speak to, who to interview. Because think about it, your MBA it's a huge investment. Financially, mentally, like, it's a huge investment. So the more prepared you are to get the most out of that investment, the more you'll make out of it. So if you start preparing to make the most of your investment now, you'll be in a better place than people like my friend who I told you about, who only realized that, like, oh, crap, I like really should have been thinking about how to make use of my MBA. He only started thinking that at the end of his MBA, which, at this point, he's just too angry and too resentful. So my suggestion, sign up now. Let's have a coaching session. Take the course. If some of that, like the reason why I'm giving you lifetime access is precisely because people are going to be in different stages of their journey, but also your minds will change. This is what happens. So Jason, who I was telling about, my LBS student, or one of the LBS students, he was exploring being a founder. He was also interviewing for jobs in product management, and he was also exploring working in investing. This is quite normal because most MBAs, they know that they want to get into tech, they don't quite know what. So you try a bunch of different things. As you try a bunch of different things, some things will become clearer, some things, and that's why you'll need to keep on coming back to this content, essentially keep on learning. Okay, any more questions? Awesome. You are wonderful. This has been great. Thank you, everybody. And I think what you're doing is really, really good. So well done. Well done for investing in yourself, and well done for going to business school, and well done for taking the GMAT. I know how hard it is, but you really, it pays off, but you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. But well done, especially like when you're doing the GRE, like well done. Okay, smart people, this is wonderful. I'm really looking forward to connecting with those of you that have booked. Okay, Nikhil, do we have any more questions, or what are we doing? Are we finishing up? Let me know, Nikhil. Okay, Nikhil says that we're finishing, so I'm gonna stop. Literally, if you want the one-to-one kickoff, just sign up right now, and I'll be speaking to you for a live coaching session, everybody. You're amazing.